Hello, we are Amelia and Tanya from Coffee Catch Ups podcast. This is Coffee Catch Ups Espresso on Cross Rhythms Radio. And today we are talking about procrastination.
Actually, can we talk about this later?
No.
But I need to talk about it later. I'll push it back a little bit.
No, we have to do it right now.
Do we?
Yeah, we have to do it right now.
That was my way of trying to be funny.
Yeah, you tried, didn't you? Well done.
Oh, procrastination. I'm just procrastinating from being funny. I think that's what's happening.
Okay, yeah, that's we can say that if you want to, Tanya.
Okay, well,
dear.
in true me style, I have some facts for you.
Do you know?
Oh, let's get my laptop with my
facts, Tanya.
statistics.
She's the facts lady.
Okay. In my best, most professional voice, according to a 2014 study, 20 to 25% of adults worldwide are chronic procrastinators. Now, question. What do you think, what age group procrastinates the most?
Oh, it's got to be like uni students, I guess. Really, like 18 to 24.
You're so good at guessing the answers to this.
What can I say? I'm just so clued up.
Procrastination levels are highest in age 14 to 29.
Ooh,
It's
okay,
quite
a bit wider. Yeah.
Big group of people. And so I think perhaps a healthy place to start before I go too much into my statistics that I love is, what is procrastination?
That is a great question. I think, from my understanding, I don't know whether this is the dictionary definition, it's essentially, it's sort of a failure to self-regulate a little bit. And it sort of leads us to act irrationally. So it might be kind of having an incorrect sort of idea about how long a task is going to take.
Yeah.
Either it's going to take a really long time, I don't want to do that now because I don't have the headspace, or it's not going to take very long at all, which means I can do what I want until, until like the last minute.
Yeah.
And it's basically just putting off a task, whether that's consciously or subconsciously, isn't it?
Yeah. So the key word that they use when kind of experts describe procrastination is self-defeating. It's a self-defeating behaviour where you simply put off a task. And they also often use the term, it's a pattern marked by short-term benefits but long-term harm.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not just about putting off a task but then doing later and it's okay. Sometimes procrastination can lead to a point where you've put it off and you've put it off, that the outcome is far, far worse than what it would have been if you'd done it straight away.
Sure.
And there are things like, small things like I could have potentially paid my bills a little bit quicker and then it wouldn't have been worrying me, or maybe I've put off my homework to the last minute and then suddenly I'm rushing.
Yeah.
But what you see even in those small examples is I'm causing myself worry because I haven't paid my bill, or I'm doing my homework at the last minute. So actually, am I getting the best quality work here? Am I learning the most? No, of course not.
Absolutely
because you're cramming it all in. But then you can get to the stage of procrastination where you're genuinely putting yourself into a really horrible position. Like, for example, maybe procrastinating from, renewing your MOT. And then, oh no, I really need to get to work. Or I'm going to have to drive without an MOT.
Yeah.
And so that's just an example. Please don't do that, guys.
Please don't do that.
Please renew your MOTs. But you can get to the point where you procrastinate to your own detriment, and I think that's kind of what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, from personal experience, I am a procrastinator. I'm really bad at this, and particularly during university, which is why I said uni students, because I was like, this was me. Like, I procrastinated so much on essays. Like, I really did not leave myself very much time. I ended up doing so many all-nighters and just rushing to get things done. And I know the standard of work actually maybe wasn't as good as it could have been, particularly in my first couple of years of uni. I did get slightly better in my fourth year, but still wasn't great. But yeah, we're going to talk more about the complications of procrastination and also some ways to reduce it. And we'll be right back after this song. Welcome back. We have been talking about procrastination. The question is, Tanya, is it not just laziness?
No, It's not laziness. And I cannot say that with enough fervour. Like, it is not lazy. And I think the danger is we think it's lazy. Is like, why? And you get frustrated with yourself. I think there's a lot of self-frustration when it comes to procrastination. I've definitely felt it myself when I've put things off, like put off replying to people. I'm so bad at that. Or put off, doing a bit of work that I needed to do.
Yeah.
I often have to do like audition tapes for my line of work, and sometimes I put them off to the last minute, and then I'm rushing to the deadline. And I get frustrated with myself because I go, how can I be so lazy and put it off and put it off and put it off? But actually I remember, and it's funny how much I talk about this, but I remember describing how frustrated I was at myself in therapy when I was talking about procrastination, putting something off. And my therapist really surprised me because she went, oh, that's really hard. Procrastination's really hard. And she was so gentle, rather than doing what I expected, which was, oh, we'll just do it then. Just do it. Just do the task earlier. Yeah. There was a little bit of acknowledgement that this is hard.
Yeah.
That when you're in a cycle of procrastination, often it can feel like a cycle where you just go round and round and round. You feel guilty for procrastinating. And so then you feel even worse, and so you feel like, oh no, I'll put it off because I can't face doing it because I feel so guilty, and you just go round and procrastinate even more.
Yeah, so true.
Amelia, why do you think we procrastinate? Because it is self-harm, as we've sort of discussed in a way, is doing things and pushing them back to your own detriment. How can we let it get that far?
I think sometimes it's to do with that kind of sometimes we have a need for instant gratification, don't we? And actually, if you're working on a task that is potentially quite drawn out, if you're writing an essay or a blog post or I don't know, something else that's quite a long task, it can be really easy to lose motivation, can't it, because you're not necessarily going to see instant results. And so we choose something like TV or social media or just other tasks that we actually don't need to do right in that moment,
also
but
because
we're just instantly done.
You probably don't want to do the essay.
No, probably not.
No,
probably not.
Who wants to do an essay? Like, who does?
Yeah, nerds, me.
Well, with the exception of Amelia.
I actually don't want to do essays, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. We're often putting off stuff that we don't want to do. Paying bills you don't actually want to do. No. I don't want to pay rent because I'm seeing money that I worked really hard to get leave my account. And I don't want to pay it. But if I don't, I'm not going to have anywhere to live.
Exactly.
So there is an element of, I don't want to do it. And so that's why you're putting it off. Short-term gain.
Yeah, so true. But I think sometimes as well we can feel a little bit helpless if there's a task that's like, it feels quite big. For example, I don't know, I used to hate doing presentations at university. Absolutely hated it because I as I may have said before, I don't do well in the sort of public speaking sphere. Like, this is fine because we can edit it and we can re-record and all of that, but like it's the speaking in front of people and I'm supposed to know the answer immediately.
Right.
I find that really difficult, and so because I hated them, I would put off doing them. And obviously, in order to not be in that situation where you're surprised or don't know the answer to a question, you have to do a lot of research. And so presentations I found really hard because I felt really helpless. And also when you've got a mark coming out of that as well, you've got a result that's going to contribute to your final grade, is really difficult sometimes. It's like, oh, I'm not going to do it because it scares me.
Yeah, I love that, what you're saying. So true. Fear. Fear is like winning then. I know people who often don't go to the doctors because they don't want to find out what is wrong with them, because then they have to deal with that. And actually, I'm going to call out some medical people are the worst for this because they're self-diagnosing.
Yes.
Like, my mum's a nurse, bless her, and she went to the doctor recently and got diagnosed with a particular thing, and she knew what it was, but she kept putting it off because she's like, I know they're going to say this and I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, that's really true. How often do we don't want to, we're scared.
Yeah.
And so we procrastinate out of scaredness. And I also wonder, do we procrastinate out of perfectionism? If I can't get it perfect, then I need to put it off until I can get it perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
And actually sometimes just accepting that things don't have to be as perfect can be a real helpful thing to actually doing it.
Yes, so true. That's so true. So the good news is there are some ways to cope.
Yes, there are.
There are some ways to cope. It doesn't have to be the end of the world, procrastination. But we are going to talk about those after the next song. Stay tuned. So, welcome back. We've been talking about procrastination, and the good news is there are some ways to alleviate it, some ways to cope, some ways to stop procrastinating. Yeah. Tanya, have you got any tips for us?
I do. I think my first thing to say is that you're not lazy is a really big thing to come to terms with. I think, and also that this isn't chronic for you forever. It can feel like, oh, this is what I do. I keep doing this and I can't seem to learn from it. I'm talking to myself here because I keep putting things off and I go, why did I put that off? I've made it worse and I've done it again and then again and again. So understanding that it's not laziness. It is difficult. Get out of the mindset of thinking, oh, I'm rubbish.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think my main one is start it. I know it sounds really simple.
No, it's so
just
right,
like, just
though.
do it. No, I'm not saying just do it. I'm saying start it. Let's take your example of an essay from earlier. It's a big project and you're thinking, gosh, that's so much. And it's so huge and it looks like this giant mountain in front of you. If you just start it, even do a little bit of research or write a couple of paragraphs or something, you've started it.
Yes.
You know, when you start a project, you think, oh gosh, I feel so much better.
Yeah, so true.
And you may have had to force yourself to do it, even force yourself to write a few lines. Suddenly it seems a lot more manageable now you've done something. So that small chunks, if it seems too big to do it, is probably my biggest tip, is just start even a tiny bit.
Yes.
See what happens.
No, that's a really, really good idea. And I think on similar lines to that, is you might have your to-do list. I absolutely live my life by to-do lists. You do. But break down those tasks if you've got something big. Like I remember when I was doing my thesis for my masters, it was like, okay, we're going to break it down chapter to chapter, and then we're also going to break that down into subheadings and subtopics. And okay, in this paragraph I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about that for a couple of paragraphs, and then I'm going to move on to this. And just if that's something that's helpful for you, give the task that kind of structure. Like if you're painting a wall, you don't tend to just, well, I don't know about you, but like you don't tend to just slap the brush about everywhere. You paint section by section.
That's a good point.
And line by line. So and I think that's what you have to do. And I guess also maybe sometimes a reward system could be really helpful. So actually, if I write this paragraph or do this small part of the task, then I can reward myself. I'm going to read a chapter of my book, or I'm going to take 10 minutes to scroll on social media, or whatever you want to do. Sometimes, if that's, again, the way your brain works, that can be really helpful motivation.
Yeah. I love that. And increasing your motivation is important. You can often do that by doing something completely different but is also productive. So like often a bit of exercise can be really helpful. Do some exercise. It gives you energy to get up and do something. Often when we sit in it and we think about it, and if you think, oh, I feel really awful that I keep putting that off, or I keep putting that off, go and do something productive that's different, and then come back to it and do it, and say you're going to do it. And because words are really powerful, we talk about this a lot on the pod, is say what you're going to do and tell people. Because I often use this example. If you tell people you are going to go on a diet, I'm going to restart that. If you say to yourself in your head, I'm going to go on a diet tomorrow, I'm going to go on a diet tomorrow, and you just think it, and then you are far less likely to actually stick to your diet if you just tell yourself. But if you tell everyone else, if you go, oh, tomorrow I'm going to go on a diet. Tomorrow, you mate over there, I'm going to go on a diet. Hey, Bill over there on the left, I'm going to go on a diet tomorrow. And just because of how it works, because you've said it more, you're actually more likely psychologically to stick to it. So if you tell people, by the end of today, I'm going to have done this task, or I'm going to have started this task, tell people. Trust me, it sounds silly, but you are more likely to do it. And please don't beat yourself up. Remember, procrastination is difficult. Be kind to yourself, and you beating yourself up is making your procrastination worse. It isn't helping.
Yeah, absolutely. So true. The other thing I want to say before we finish as well is you can set timers on your phone.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's called the Pomodoro technique, and it's 25 minutes of work, and 5 minutes of rest.
Love
25
that.
minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest. Get a timer on your phone. I think there are apps for this as well. I used to use them all the time when I was at uni, and my friends and I would be sat on Microsoft Teams because it was COVID, but writing our theses together. And we'd set a timer for an hour, and we'd work for an hour, and then we'd come back together and say, how was that for you? And then we'd rest, we'd chat, and then we'd go back to it.
What's this technique called again?
It's called the Pomodoro technique.
The Pomodoro technique.
It's
I'm
Italian
learning
for
stuff.
tomato, apparently, which is quite fun. But I don't really know what the relevance of that is.
Look it up and email us in.
So yeah, Coffee Catch Ups podcast@gmail.com. But yes, anyway, that has been procrastination. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
it has been fun.
you.
It has been fun. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to listen to Coffee Catch Ups podcast, we are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, email. Come look us up, and we would love to chat to you more. This has been Coffee Catch Ups Espresso on Cross Rhythms Radio. Bye for now.